What's up everyone, it's Kien here, and it's getting a little late on my end, so we're getting right into it. No intro needed. Here are 5 tips to step up your photography game today and right now. And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of these types of videos, and majority of them are actionable, quick bandage gimmicks and fixes. But I wanted to approach this from an angle that isn't really talked about often, but they're really crucial in your journey. And these are lessons that I kind of figured out on my own, through my own experience over the years, and I feel like every photographer kind of skips them over. So I promise you, if you decide to ignore these lessons, and you might or you might not, you're probably gonna learn them regardless as you move along your creative journey. So get your boots strapped and listen up. Number 1, and advertisers are gonna hate me for this, but focus less on the gear. And it's ironic because I have all this camera stuff, but at the end of the day, they're just tools. You can spend a couple grand on the best DSLR or mirrorless or medium format camera that's on the market right now. But if you don't understand the basics, you're probably not gonna improve as fast, and it's probably a waste of your money. And I mean, these days, honestly, I use my iPhone a lot more than anything else, and occasionally I'll use my Android. And don't get me wrong, I like Android, but I mean more the fact that I used my correct SA Plus from like 4 years ago. It's still a great phone because at the end of the day, a picture is a picture. And I don't think the quality of the device or technology really makes a difference for photos. I think it's just a little cherry on top. And for my photo buddies out there, you know what I mean when you go on all these forums and you find all these photographers arguing over the tiniest pixels that don't really matter that much in the bigger scheme of things. And there's a time and place for that. But honestly, if you're clicking on this video, chances are you're not that advanced and you don't have to worry about that stuff until you try to do some expensive client work where you might actually need every single pixel, like for large scale billboards. But if you're shooting for a print, or you're posting on Instagram or Pinterest or anything on the internet, gear and all those pixels and all that quality doesn't really matter that much. So do not focus on the materials and do not get gear acquisition syndrome. That's what they call gas. Focus on your foundation. And speaking of that, here's number 2, revisit the basic. Every single craft out there in the world has to learn proper foundation. And just think about it. When you were a child, right? You learned how to walk as a kid. You did not get it perfect, and you definitely made some mistakes. You fell down, and you got up, and you just kept doing it again until you just got better at it. And eventually, you were able to walk, run, then jump, then swim, then dance. Speaking of that, I used to be a dancer from 2005 to 2014, and I tried to do a lot of advanced moves in the dance world that got me really injured because my body and my mind was not familiar with that type of movement. And after I learned my lessons and I healed, I practiced the basics that were a lot more boring, and I worked my way up into doing some very hard moves. So you see, advanced stuff is just a combination of a lot of basic stuff that you master. And shoot, this is the second video I'm officially doing for YouTube. Do I expect myself to make the best videos? Probably not. And I'm probably making a ton of mistakes, but I'm putting in the work to get better by day. And if you don't like this video, let me know in the comments. And if you like the video, smash that like button. So whether you're beginner or advanced, take your time out and revisit the rules of exposure, or composition, or angles. I'll dive more into this on the next video. Number 3, the big idea. And I love this one rule in life that I learned called the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule or the 20-80 rule, whichever. And everything in life kind of revolves around this. And basically, it boils down to 20% of your time and effort spent creates 80% results, and vice versa. So let's apply this to our topic. We all consider the factors that impact photography. Is it gear, the camera body, the tripod, the mic, the choice of software, the lighting conditions? And you know, all these are factors that have a direct impact on the quality of work that each of us can make and produce. But when it comes to a key image that you want to make, usually there's one factor that completely dominates everything else and impacts the quality by at least 80% or more. The answer is, it's the story of the image. And how we choose to focus on the image says everything about the experience of the world around us. And as we really got caught up with all these technical jargon and dynamic range and frames per second and low light performance and yada yada yada, lenses of incredible sharpness, focus, speed, all that doesn't really matter if your image cannot communicate or touch the viewer and spark their imagination and get them thinking at the end of the day. I also come from a background in the advertising agency world as an art director, and one thing that we always drill is ideas first. And whenever we nail the idea or the message of the big idea, then we find different ways to communicate it through channels and avenues such as print, billboard, social media, television, stunts, influencers, celebrity. You get the point. But we cannot sign up on any other tactic unless we have a big idea. So let's wrap this into conclusion and get back to the nuts and bolts of photography. Try to give your photographs a message or a reason. And it sounds a little bit like spiritual woo-woo, but just try to get your viewer to think or feel. At the end of the day, we photographers are just artists, and the camera is just our tool to communicate with the world. Number 4, spend less time thinking, more time doing. And look, research and finding inspiration is nice, and I enjoy it a lot. But at a certain point, you gotta ask yourself, are you spending more time consuming content than making it? And if so, you need to revisit your priorities. And don't get me wrong, spend your time finding things that inspire you to go out there and take action. But the key word is going out there. If you've been at home binging Instagram and YouTube and whatever app for 30 hours and you only spend an hour shooting, you're wasting your potential. Just go out there and make something. And honestly, if you're not proud of what you created, just don't share it. Store it somewhere as a reminder of your journey and keep it moving forward, because years later, it's gonna be great memories. But the most important thing is just do it. Just go out there and make something. And honestly, if you're not proud of what you created, just don't share it. Store it somewhere as a reminder of your journey and keep it moving forward. Dale Carnegie said it best. Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, don't sit at home and think about it. Just go out there and get busy. And in the midst of the process, your mind's gonna work itself out. And you're gonna go down roads and paths that you never even thought of in the first place. So, if you don't know what to shoot, look to your left, look to your right. Find an object right now and just pause this video and make it look cool in a photograph. And before I go to the next and most important tip, it looks like I'm gonna be shooting this object since I found it next to me. It's actually an action figure of a photograph I shot a while back. So, let's roll. This is the 5th and final tip, and it's the most important in my honest opinion because there's no way you get through in life as a photographer or anything else without it. It's failing a lot. So listen, failing is an option. It's a necessity, and it goes back to being a perfectionist and how that type of pride really hinders you from growing. And I think failure is necessary for you to grow as a photographer. And there's gonna be times in your journey that things just don't go right. And maybe you had this specific vision, and when you try to execute it after spending so much time thinking about it, it just complete bombed despite how much you planned ahead. While some of these instances might slow you down in the short term, so the most important part is to learn from failure, grow from your mistakes, and become a better photographer as a result. For example, I remember the first time I saw these flock of pigeons and I asked a friend to just run into them because I thought it was gonna be a really cool photo. And you know what? I couldn't at that time in my skill set, I couldn't figure out the right composition, the shutter speed, and everything in that game. And nor did I understand what directions pigeons would fly and understanding their behavior, and ultimately, the image in my head outweighed the results. And I think like, this picture is not a bad picture at all to me. This is just a photo and nothing more. There's nothing really special about it. It's nothing that shows that I have a skill set. And after going back home and figure out how I failed, what directions and what behavior the pigeons would go, how to corral them together, the fact that I actually need to bring some sort of like food or bread to like get them interested. I revisited this shot many times and I nailed it right, but I would not have been able to figure out how to improve myself if I didn't even try or fail at it. Also, when you start getting jobs down the line, you're gonna get hired because you are a professional that knows how to deliver consistency. And the only way to deliver consistency is to know what you should not do and what you should do. And those are lessons that you're gonna have to find out yourself through just trying a lot and failing. So go back to photography and fail a lot. Just go out there and make a fool of yourself and just keep it moving forward and just learn from your lessons, get up quick, and just have fun. So those are my 5 tips. I really hope that you got some value out of that because these are like lessons that I never got taught and I learned on my own, and I put into a lot of practice and a lot of heart. So if you like this and you learned something new and you're gonna implement it, go smash the like button. Go subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell, and see you guys in the next video. Peace.